France 24's Wassim Nasr, who's been keeping a very close eye on this story for us. Nassim, thank you so much for joining us. What's the latest that you're getting from the ground?
Actually, as you said, there was an offensive by the Russians and the Syrian army in order to take back some parts of the Idlib province. And actually, in a month, they were able to take a few villages only. It wasn't that much of an advancement on the ground. And what's new about what's happening since yesterday is that rebel groups with jihadi groups decided to go on the offensive. And to go on the offensive, if we look at the map, here where we see this arrow, we see they went into Syrian regime territory, which was with the regime since a while. So it's a real shift today, because they proved they are being able to go on the offensive despite the Russian effort and despite the Syrian army's effort. And if we look at the map of this Idlib province with northern Hama here, we see all the blue spots are Turkish army observation points. The red ones are Russian army. The orange is Shia militias observation points. And you see that the offensive is between observation points. And what's new also today, since yesterday at least, is that the Russian observation point here is being threatened by this rebel and jihadi offensive. And we see that all the factions, or most of the factions present in Idlib, are coordinating. We have 3 operation rooms, one with Islamists and rebels, one with HTS, and another, the Turkestan party, which is jihadi group made of Chinese nationals, and jihadis close to Al-Qaeda today. And all of them, those 3 operation rooms, are coordinating together in order to make this happen. And if we can see images, maybe we see that they have a real firepower. At least they preserved a real firepower. Here we have 120 millimeters rockets, Grad rockets in the hands of HES, which were used since the day before yesterday, in order to maintain the Syrian army in locations like Farnabuda and other locations, in order for those units not to be able to support units that are being actually attacked on the ground. And we see, since we have the footage, that HES is going more and more professional in the way that they conduct urban warfare. They have the human skills, and they have also the equipment today. And we also have the images, if we can see them, how they enter the town, how they overrun outposts, and how they coordinate all this in a very professional way. So we're not just talking about rebel groups fighting in a random way. It's very coordinated, and it's very getting at least very professional, facing professional army, which is here army, and Russian firepower.
Wassim, you've been talking us through the operations on the ground. What does this all mean for the future of Idlib?
Well, it means a lot. It means at least that Ankara or Turkey is letting this happen. It means that Russia is being unable to make it stop. But the fact is, as we saw on and you are seeing the fighting on the ground, the fact is that it's still limited operations on only one front. We are talking about a few villages, and actually the villages that were taken by the rebels and the jihadis are going to be hard to hold, because they are on in a plain. So we can imagine that HTS politically managed to unite all these groups, and Turkey isn't being able to stop it, and neither Russia. But Damascus also isn't putting all its power in this, because you have to know that facing the rebels, we have mostly former rebels that are today in the ranks of Damascus. And if you think maybe in a more cynical way, from the Turkish point of view, we know that HTS and the jihadis ousted rebel groups which were close to Ankara lately from Idlib province. And today Ankara, by sending back those same troops to help to stop the Syrian army, they are re-implanting them in the same area. For maybe one day, in a few weeks, they turn against the jihadis. So it's a very cynical situation ongoing in Idlib, but the one sure thing is that still the jihadis and the rebels still can have the initiative today.
And that's, of course, the problem. There's this ongoing conflict, and you've got so many hands in play, both domestic and international. Wassim Nasr, thank you as always for that very interesting analysis.